Welcome to the first class. I think everybody knows me. I'm Frank.
Butch.
You're always Frank, right?
Yeah, very frank.
Is that Franklin Michael? I'll be your flight instructor.
Yeah, okay. All right, this first tie fly I'm doing is called the Footer Special. It was designed in 1961 by a guy named John Footer. This particular fly I have actually caught several fish with up in Pinedale. I think I caught a brown, a rainbow, and a brook with this fly. Not with another one that looks like it, but this one has been fished. So they hold up really well. I've caught like 10 rainbows on a gray ghost pattern, which is like this. Large rainbows that fought really hard, and the fly is still fishable. One of the keys, I think, for the strength is the tie-in point is all right here. And if you look, it's short. It's not a big, long nose on it. So this is key to making this bug look good, is do not spread your tie-in point down the shank, okay? It's only, what, maybe 3/16 long total. If you start making it longer than that, it really makes the bug look weird. So let's get to it. So the hook we're using today, as shown on your printout, it's a Partridge Heritage Streamer hook. This one is a size 6, 9 extra long. And this is actually one of the more simple feather wings to tie. It's not the materials are, yes it does. Yeah, if I had a Norvise, this part would go really fast.
We can make that happen.
I only have 3 or I only one.
Nice guy.
Yep. Okay, so thread all the way back to the bend, and then first material going in is tinsel. The whole body is tinsel. Other feather wings are a combination of floss and tinsel, but this is just tinsel, so we'll use a fair bit of it. The tinsel we're using today is it's gold on one side, silver on the other. And so the body is going to be gold. So to make the body gold, you tie the tinsel in gold side to the hook. And then when you start wrapping it, the gold will come out to the surface. So I flipped my hook over to tie this in. So the tinsel is going in mostly mostly along the bottom of the shank. And use the rotary a lot just because it's a whole lot easier to wrap all this consistently than trying to do it by hand. You want overlapping wraps. If you just hold your tinsel at a constant angle while you're wrapping. You should get those overlapping wraps without edges of this tinsel popping out like that's doing. When you're working with tinsel, it's really good to not have any bulges in any of your previous wraps, otherwise that you get those little spots where the tinsel pops out, and I'll just live with that for now. It won't necessarily be a show fly, but yeah, I'll go back. See if we can get rid of it. Yeah, it's not being cooperative. I actually usually start my tinsel wrap right up at the head so that doesn't happen. But it didn't, and that's what happens. Luckily, that's on top of the fly, and that's going to be kind of hidden by other materials. Okay, next we're the belly of the fly starts out with some yellow bucktail. You don't have to do this all that thick. If it gets too thick, it starts in too bushy. It just doesn't really look right. You can grab a fairly good clump of bucktail because a bunch of it's going to go away due to the nature of it being having really long fibers and then shorter ones. So get rid of the longest ones, try and even out. You don't have to stack this. Just get rid of the ones that are looking the most straggly. So you wind up with something like this, okay? And so you want the hook upside down for this. Makes it a whole lot easier. And just a little bit longer than the bend of the hook is good. Stuff like that. A couple of loose wraps. You want this right on the very bottom of the hook. And once you get it, some loose wraps, have it secured, then a couple of tighter ones. Snip it off. Okay. Next is blue. Blue. Bucktails are not all created equal. So on some bucktails, the fur gets really ragged as far as length. Other parts, it's a little more consistent. So this one I don't have to get. So when I pass these out for you guys to, and I have 2 of each, you'll just kind of grab a clump, do what I'm doing. The blue is going to be a little bit shorter than the yellow, but it stacks right on top of the yellow. And bucktail, luckily, when you pull it tight, it does not flare like elk hair or deer body hair. So you can snug it down pretty tight. Which is important because it is a short tie-in point. You don't have a lot of length here to hold the material in, so you do need a fair bit of tension. Now, since we're using 72, well, I'm using 70. You guys are using 70. You know, just.
I got 74. 72 and a half.
All right, so there's the belly. Now the underwing is red bucktail. This is going to be a little bit longer than the others.
I was going to say, where the heck do you find a red deer?
Well, where do you find a yellow one or a blue one?
Well, back in the old days, I'd seen a lot of those colors. This is somewhere in the mid-60s, Rick? Oh, it could be. I don't remember. Better living through chemistry.
That's right. So you see I'm keeping my tie-in point really concise, small, localized. So you might say, well, why is he building up so much thread on each tie-in for the materials? Even if you didn't say it.
Why is he building up?
I did. That's. Okay. Well, because you're going to tie in feathers on top of this. And if the tie-in point, if this is kind of too small, then it makes it more difficult to tie the feathers down on top of it. And my red bucktail did actually flare out a little bit too much, but the fish probably won't care all that much. All right. Now, the wing is American Rooster Saddle by Whiting. And I know all of you guys are going to rush out and get all these materials. Right. But Whiting American hackle, there's a big difference between the saddle and the American cape as far as the shape of the feather. So if you look at this feather, it's really webby, but it's got that triangular profile. Right, the cape feathers are more dense. They don't have the fine webs on the outside, and it affects how the fly not only looks but also moves in the water. So pick out two feathers roughly the same length, and first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all the fluff. And then measure it out so that the end of the feather is about 1.5 gap lengths longer than the hook. This one is a little bit long, so I'll get rid of. So that's not bad. Still maybe a little bit long, but fish probably don't care that much. Luckily, these feathers are incredibly strong. Even if a fish gives a short bite, short take, and just grabs the end of the feather, I haven't had one bite the end of the feather off yet. The best way to make sure both feathers are the same length is lay the one you already sized down on top of the fresh feather. and then pin them together. These are actually already really close. And I'll use a bodkin to separate the barbs right at the tie-in point. So then you have two feathers that are the same length. Okay.
So making feathers kind of curve naturally.
Yep.
To make them all the same.
So you can, yeah, you oppose the feathers are going to be curved side into each other, right? So you try and find feathers that when you put them together, the bend will go the same direction on the bird. If you can't find that, feathers that are going to work that way, then you make them work that way, and it takes a little longer, but you moisten them a little bit and then iron them, straighten them on a towel and iron them, and then they will hold that new shape.
What's that iron?
So, and I forgot to bring my iron.
What you make your grilled cheese on? In jail.
That's right. Okay, so I clipped my stem so it's only as long as my tie-in point. Okay, and with this fly, it's only using 2 feathers. A bunch of these use like 6 total. When you get a whole lot of feathers like that, then I start gluing them together. And when I do glue them together, I'll dab a little bit of fairly fast drying head cement, just about this long, right along the quill, not spreading into the web of the feather at all. And then set that aside to dry. If I got like 2 wing feathers on each side, and then the shoulder feather, which would be this, and then an eye, which would be jungle cock. Then I'll build that whole wing on the bench before I try and put it on the fly. But with only 2 feathers, it's not that bad. So my tie-in point got a little bit longer, but that's okay because it will get buried by these next feathers. All right. The trick is getting these to line up. So start with loose wraps near my tie-in point. Apparently is a little bit small still, so in diameter. So go with some loose wraps first to make sure that the feather's standing up.
That's plenty of red. Up down on top.
This is kind of sitting right on top of it, but that's all right. So it's kind of standing up right now. That's all right too. Once you fish this, it's going to lay back. Once it's in the water, all of this lays back, right? When it's in the water, yeah.
Those are 2 feathers,
Yes.
and they're face to face.
So inside to inside. Yeah. Also, when tying in the feathers, it's good to, I did this a little late. Before I get many wraps on, I normally get head cement right on the feather quills to help hold them in. I have actually had feathers pull out with a bad cast, which I almost never do. Right.
You say inside to inside, that would be back to back then?
Yeah, concave to concave. Yeah. All right. So that's in. Looks a little funky, but that's all right. Okay, now we have a guinea fowl for the cheek. And you'll see this feather is kind of big. Well, we don't want it that big, but that's okay because we can strip this down just like the other one till it's the size that we want. It's pretty good there. And again, use the same technique of putting the two feathers together and using your already sized for a pattern.
Why would you use 2 feathers each time? Build up some bulk.
So this, I'm using 2 feathers so that there's a cheek on each side of the fly. It's not 2 feathers on one side and 2 feathers on the
You
other.
got a one cheek snake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, stem is a little long still.
These tinsel wraps are bugging the crap out of here.
I can't even see them. So there.
Boy, we can. They're huge on that screen. Welcome to the world of high definition.
Okay, there's one cheek tied in. And I'll just leave, don't tie it totally in yet. It rotated. Stupid feather. Take that. Well, the problem is these quills are not exactly perfectly round. And as soon as you put any tension on them, they'll try and go to whatever shape the quill is.
Your nails are beautiful.
Your wife?
He wasn't supposed to find that out.
Everybody gets mine all.
He was going to find that.
Okay.
I don't think we elected her to handle all the money. That's the way she told us it was going to be.
Oh, okay. Formless. Yeah, I figured that. I wonder you guys are sweating balls.
From now on,
Now
this is
on.
how it's gonna work. You guys gotta like it.
That's it.
Okay, well, one of the keys with tying in these feathers is to so triangle shape. It'll be all right. Put all your tension near the end of the quills.
So we don't flare them out.
Yeah. All right. That side looks better than my side now. But sometimes it works out that way. You don't need a whole lot of whip finish wraps because the whole head is going to be covered in UV or hard as nails, Sally Hansen's, whatever.
You still thick?
Nope, it's thinned out.
Looks pretty.
So if you glue the cheek feathers to the wing feathers, it alleviates a bunch of this issue of how the feathers rotated on me. So this fly actually doesn't look all that good, but it'll still catch fish.
Never looks good as when you do it at home, right?
Yeah. Oh, plus I'm a group teaching virgin, so.
You did very good. I can hear the cherry pop from here.
All right, so there's your footer special.